And this is Tyra Oliver, one of the Jaunty Cats, and today I will be showing you a little bit of the progress on another piece of mine called Temperance. It is the second drawing of my 7 Heavenly Virtues series. You can take a look at some of my other social media accounts, which are going to be linked below, to see more progress shots of that and more up-to-date progress that I have with that piece, and to see some of the previous progress drawings that we have on this channel. Take a look at some of our other videos on this channel, and feel free to comment and share and all that stuff as well. So with this particular drawing, or this stage of the progress video, I'm going to mainly be showing this sped up footage of me working on the character. You can see I'm working on her hands, her dress, and some other foreground elements like the fountain and some trees here. So while you're looking at this, I'm actually going to talk a little bit about some mindset things, and hopefully what I'm about to say is going to help somebody out here who's maybe trying to improve their art or figure out how to improve better or faster. I redrew the character's hand actually because I'm referencing my actual hand and some reference photos. So the main thing that I want to point out with this is you using due diligence in your art. Now, lately I've been seeing a lot of other artists do live streams and critiques, and we have different critique groups all over the internet, and there's nothing wrong with that at all, especially if you are a beginner artist and you don't have a strong basis in the fundamentals, or if you're at a point where you're just stuck and don't know how to progress. That's fine, and sometimes we do need somebody who's a little bit more experienced to come in and push us in the right direction. However, what I'm seeing is people who they've drawn, say, a character, right? Or they've drawn a landscape or something, and there's no perspective at all, or there's no actual sense of weight to a character, or say if a character's holding a sword or something like that, or just holding any kind of an object, it looks like the character might not be in balance, or proportion issues, just all those little things that really annoy us about our art. And they'll go to somebody online and they'll be like, well, help me fix this. How do I fix this? And again, there's nothing wrong with getting an extra eye, but a lot of this is, as you're creating a drawing, or you're drawing a human, or even an object or an environment, just take a few extra minutes to see if what you're drawing would actually be that color. Or say if you're trying to draw an environment that feels a certain way, instead of trying to imagine what that would be like, and it's your first landscape painting or whatever, get several photos or watch several videos or freeze frame movie stills, and even if you don't copy any one reference, just take a few minutes out to see what makes that thing what it is. I mean, because when you ask for critiques from artists online, or art school, or wherever you happen to be, the person's they're not gonna want to go in and nitpick and tell you everything that's wrong with it. Nobody wants to break somebody's spirit and say, well, this is wrong and this is wrong and you should do this, move this over here, or use XYZ for reference. No, I just think that a lot of beginner artists a lot of times would benefit from just, instead of going straight to the internet and say if you're doing a character pose, stand up instead of wondering if a person would move that way, or if a fabric or clothes will work a certain way. Just stand up and make the pose yourself, or have a friend or family member try to get into that position. And the reason I'm saying that is because, like I said a little while ago, that's what I had to do with this drawing. I took photos of my hand, and I was holding my hands up in this position to see if a hand would actually look like this. And it actually saved me a lot of work, and I got a drawing that I'm happy with. And even things like foliage, I looked out my window because there's a little park type area right in front of my house. I just looked at what these types of trees and things that I'm drawing, I looked and saw, and I'm seeing what they actually look like. So instead of going off to an artist on a forum and being like, well, help me do this, help me do that, how do I do this little detail, how do I make a leaf look like a leaf? Look at leaves outside. That's really the fastest and easiest way to improve. And I'm not saying all this just to be elitist or snooty or break anybody's spirit. I'm just saying that's how I improved. That's what I did to get to the level I'm at now. Like with this character's drapery, I actually took a blanket and draped it over myself to figure out how this fabric would work. And it's a few extra minutes. If your character's wearing armor or something, just grab like a piece of cardboard and put it on your shoulder and see how a plate of metal might react if it's on somebody's, conform somewhat to somebody's shoulder. I hope that makes a little bit of sense. But just, taking the few extra minutes as you're going along to double check your work. Like my mom always used to say when I was little and learning like how to spell and things like that, double check your work. Just give yourself a little bit of time to be just a little bit more careful, not to spend a whole extra day or anything like that just doing a character design, but just take a little bit of extra effort and just be like, okay, well, my last thing, I didn't like how my last drawing turned out, so I'm just going to take a few minutes out, and if I got critique on my last thing, I'll try to apply that to this thing, because that's how you improve. Yes, it takes longer than normal, and it doesn't look as slick and sexy for Instagram or whatever to change your character's pose or redo a whole drawing sometimes, but that's all a part of the process when you're beginning. Even when you're more experienced of artist, sometimes you have to redo a whole idea. Sometimes it just doesn't work once you get it on the paper. So, expect that art can sometimes take more time when you're figuring certain things out. And so that leads me into my next point. Don't cut corners or don't skip certain things just because it's boring or it's not fun. The more you actually force yourself to think through these things like character poses and things like that, the more color theory, that's a big one. The more you try to make it easy on yourself to circumvent the process, the harder it's going to be. So sometimes it is useful to do color studies, or if you're working traditionally, sometimes it is good to come up with just a few little thumbnails that allow you to see how a color would look mixed together. For example, if you paint either in oils or acrylics, just make little test swatches. Obviously, that's a little bit easier on digital because you could just do the little slider, change that around. But sometimes it's good to just get the colors and just mix them together, make little swatches and see what the colors do and sort of figure out how the things work. Even coming up with character poses or figuring out how to draw certain things that you may have never drawn before, such as swords or clothes. Just grab simple objects together that kind of look like the thing you're trying to do. Just taking the time as you're going along and just figuring these things out. So hopefully this was informative. That's how I improved, and that's the type of things I did for this actual drawing. And if you want to see some more of our artwork, definitely take a look here at the rest of our videos and on our social media links below. And we'd love to have your comment below. And thank you so much for watching. Bye-bye.